The transport ship docked at Galactic Trade Station Harmony 7 with a soft hiss. Day pressed his face against the window, watching aliens of different shapes and sizes move through the massive station. Some floated, some walked on multiple legs, and some moved in ways he could not describe. After 20 years as a soldier and 5 more as a cultural coordinator, he thought he had seen everything. But this was his first time on a coalition station. "Stop acting like a tourist," Bora said beside him. She checked her tablet for the 3rd time, reviewing their schedule. "We represent Earth. Try to look professional." Day grinned. "We are tourists. This is a cultural exchange, remember?" The airlock opened and they stepped into the station with 18 other humans. The gravity felt lighter here, about 80% of Earth normal. Day adjusted his stance automatically and the other humans did the same. Years of training made such changes instinctive. A tall, thin alien waited for them in the docking bay. Its skin had a pale blue color, and its limbs were longer than any human's. The alien moved with incredible grace, each motion flowing into the next like water. When it bowed, its body bent in ways that would break a human spine. "Welcome," the alien said in perfect English. "I am Trill, Master of Flow Combat. These are my students." 5 more aliens stood behind Trill, each one just as graceful and fluid in their movements. Bora stepped forward and bowed, though not as deeply. "Thank you for accepting us, Master Trill. We are honored to learn from you." Trill's large eyes studied the humans. "You are much denser than I expected. Your muscles are quite thick. This is normal for your species. We come from a high-gravity world," Day explained. "Earth has stronger gravity than most coalition planets." "Interesting," Trill said. "This may make training difficult. Flow combat requires great flexibility and control. Force and strength are not important." One of Trill's students, an alien named Kor, moved forward. Perhaps a demonstration would help them understand. The aliens formed a circle in the open space of the docking bay. Trill stood in the center, closed his eyes, and began to move. His body flowed through positions that seemed impossible. Arms bent backward, legs twisted at strange angles, and his whole form rippled like cloth in wind. Each movement was slow and controlled, taking several seconds to complete. The other Vexen aliens watched with deep respect. When Trill finished, he looked at the humans. "This is flow combat. It has been practiced by my people for 5,000 years. It teaches patience, control, and perfect balance. Speed is not needed. Power is not needed. Only precision matters." The humans watched in silence. Day could see confusion on many faces. The movements were beautiful, but they seemed more like dance than fighting. How could this be a martial art? Bora raised her hand. "Master Trill, forgive my question, but how is this used in combat?" Trill's expression was hard to read, but he seemed pleased by the question. "An excellent question. Kor, please attack me." Kor moved toward Trill at a walking pace. He extended one long arm toward Trill's head. The attack was so slow that any human could have easily dodged it. But Trill did not dodge. Instead, he flowed around the arm, his body bending and twisting. His hand touched Kor's wrist with gentle pressure, and suddenly Kor was falling. He hit the ground softly, his own momentum turned against him. "Flow combat redirects energy," Trill explained. "We do not block or strike. We guide the opponent's force away from us and back toward them. This is why speed is not needed. A slow, precise touch is more effective than a fast, clumsy blow." The humans nodded, starting to understand. Day felt excitement building in his chest. This was completely different from any human martial art he had studied. It challenged everything he knew about fighting. Training began the next day in a large, open room with soft mats covering the floor. Trill started with basic movements, having the humans copy his positions. But problems appeared immediately. Human bodies could not bend the same way Vexen bodies could. Joints that moved freely for Trill locked up for humans. Positions that Trill held for minutes made human muscles shake after seconds. "You are too rigid," Trill said to Day, who was attempting a basic stance. "Relax your body. Let it flow." "I'm trying," Day said through gritted teeth. His legs were spread wide, his back was arched, and his arms were extended behind him. Pain shot through his shoulders. "Human bodies don't bend this way." Trill tilted his head. "Interesting. On my world, even our children can hold this position. Perhaps your high gravity has made your bodies too stiff." Bora, attempting a different position nearby, spoke up. "Master Trill, could we modify the position slightly?" "Keep the same principles but adjust for human anatomy." Trill considered this. The forms are traditional. They have been passed down for generations unchanged. But I understand your difficulty. Yes, we can make small adjustments. Over the next week, Trill and Core worked with the humans to create modified positions. The principles remained the same, but the actual positions changed to fit human bodies. Progress was slow but steady. The humans learned to move more fluidly, to redirect force instead of meeting it head-on, and to use minimal effort for maximum effect. Dave found himself enjoying the training more each day. Flow combat required a completely different mindset than his military training. Instead of aggression, it taught patience. Instead of force, it taught precision. He practiced for hours every day, feeling his body adapt to the new style. On the 7th day, during a practice session, something went wrong. Day was practicing a strike movement, a slow push that was supposed to redirect an opponent's chest. He had done it dozens of times already, but this time his mind wandered. For just a moment, he moved at human speed instead of Vexen speed. His hand shot forward fast, cutting through the air. A sharp crack echoed through the training room. The air itself seemed to split. Every alien in the room jumped, their eyes wide with shock. The humans stopped and stared at Day. What was that sound? Core asked, his voice shaking slightly. Day looked at his hand, confused. I just did the movement. But faster, I think. Trill walked over slowly, examining Day from a safe distance. How much faster? Normal speed for me, Day said. Maybe I moved at about 1/10 of full speed? I was holding back. The color drained from Trill's face, which was impressive considering he was already pale blue. 1/10? And it created that sound? Bora pulled out her tablet and ran some quick calculations. Her eyes widened. D, if my numbers are right, you just broke the sound barrier with your hand. That crack was a sonic boom. The room fell silent. Trill and the other Vexen stared at the humans with new understanding. These were not weak students struggling with basic concepts. These were creatures with incredible strength and speed, artificially slowing themselves down to learn. Trill had thought teaching flow combat to humans would be easy. Now he realized he might have made a terrible mistake. If humans could create sonic booms while practicing, what could they do in actual combat? What had he started teaching them? Trill called an emergency meeting in his private quarters. The room was decorated with flowing fabrics and soft lights, designed to promote calm thinking. But Trill felt anything but calm. He paced back and forth while Core sat quietly in the corner. We must stop the training, Trill said. Did you see what that human did? He created a sonic boom with a simple practice movement. If they learned the full art at their natural speed, they could kill with a touch. Core considered this carefully. But Master, they have been careful. They move slowly and follow your instructions exactly. The accident happened because Day lost focus, not because he intended harm. That makes it worse, Trill argued. Their natural movement is dangerous. Flow combat was never meant to be performed with such force. The principles are about redirection and control, not destruction. A knock on the door interrupted them. Bora and Day entered, their faces serious. Bora carried her tablet, and Day looked uncomfortable in the small room designed for lighter, more flexible beings. Master Trill, Bora began, we need to talk about what happened today. Yes, Trill agreed. I have been thinking the same thing. Perhaps this exchange program was a mistake. Day shook his head. Please don't say that. We've learned so much already. Flow combat is beautiful and effective. We don't want to stop learning. But you are too strong, Trill said simply. Too fast. Too dense. Your bodies were made for a harsh world and our art was made for a gentle one. They do not match. Bora held up her tablet. What if we could match them? I've been working with Hyun, our physicist. He has an idea. She showed them diagrams and calculations. We can create weighted training suits for the humans. These suits will add mass to our bodies and slow our movements. With enough weight, we can move at the same speed as the Vexen. We can train properly without any risk. Trill examined the designs. How much weight? About 60% of our body weight, Bora explained. It will make us move through higher resistance, similar to moving underwater. Our natural strength will be countered by the added mass. Core leaned forward, interested. This could work. They would be training under similar conditions to us. But it is artificial, Trill said. The suits would hide their true nature. And what happens when they remove the suits? All that training would translate into incredible power. Day spoke up. Master Trill, we're not trying to hide anything. We just want to learn flow combat the right way. If wearing suits lets us do that, we're happy to wear them every day. Trill was quiet for a long time. Finally, he said, "You humans are very determined. I see now why your species survived on such a difficult world. Very well. We will try this solution, but there are conditions." "Anything," Bora said. "First, the suits must be worn at all times during training. Second, you will only practice flow combat while wearing them. Third, if there are any more accidents, we will end the program immediately. Agreed?" "Agreed," Day and Bora said together. The next week, the weighted suits arrived. They looked like simple black bodysuits, but they contained layers of dense material that added significant mass. When Day put his on for the first time, he felt like he was moving through thick mud. Every motion required effort. His arms felt heavy, his legs sluggish. "This is terrible," one of the other humans complained. "I can barely move." "That's the point," Hyun said, helping another student adjust their suit. "Now you know how it feels to move in low gravity with light bones and thin muscles. This is normal for the Vexin." Training resumed, and the difference was immediate. The humans could now perform the movements at the correct speed. Their bodies bent and flowed the way Trill wanted. Positions that were impossible before became merely difficult. The grace and beauty of flow combat finally made sense. Trill watched his human students with growing respect. They practiced for hours each day, never complaining about the heavy suits. They asked questions, they helped each other, and they showed genuine love for the art. Over the next 2 months, they became quite skilled. "Your students learn fast," Kor observed one day. "Faster than any Vexine students I have taught." "They are persistent," Trill agreed. "On their world, they must be persistent to survive. That quality serves them well here." The training program became famous throughout the station. Other species came to watch the humans practice. Coalition officials visited and praised the successful cultural exchange. News reports called it a perfect example of different species learning from each other. Bora organized a demonstration for the coalition observers. 20 important officials from various species gathered in the training hall. The human students wore their weighted suits and performed a synchronized flow combat routine. Their movements were slow, graceful, and perfectly controlled. The observers applauded enthusiastically. "Beautiful," one observer said. "The humans have truly mastered your art, Master Trill." Trill bowed. "They have been excellent students. I am proud of their progress." For the finale, Day would perform a solo demonstration of an advanced sequence. He took his position in the center of the room. The observers fell silent, watching closely. Day closed his eyes and began to move. His body flowed through the complex positions, each transition smooth and controlled. The weighted suit made everything feel natural now, almost comfortable. But halfway through the sequence, something went wrong. A seam in Day's suit tore. The heavy material that had been pressing against his chest suddenly loosened. The weight distribution changed, throwing off his balance. Day stumbled, trying to compensate. His training took over, muscle memory guiding him to complete the sequence anyway. Without the suit's full weight, Day moved at his natural speed. His body flowed through the remaining positions in a blur of motion. Each strike cut through the air with sharp cracks. Each turn created wind that ruffled the observer's clothing. The soft, gentle art became explosive and violent. Day finished the sequence in 3 seconds instead of 30. He opened his eyes and saw everyone staring at him in shock. Trill's face showed fear and wonder. The coalition observers were standing now, talking to each other in urgent voices. Bora looked worried. "I'm sorry," Day said, breathing hard. "My suit malfunctioned." "I didn't mean to—" "That power," an observer interrupted. "He was a military official from a species called the Dracon. That speed. Is that normal for humans?" Bora stepped forward, trying to control the situation. "Humans are adapted to high gravity. We are naturally stronger and faster than most species. That's why we use the weighted suits." "Fascinating," the Dracon official said. "Absolutely fascinating. Tell me, have you considered military applications for this art?" Trill stepped between them. "Flow combat is not a military art. It is about peace and self-control. It is about redirecting violence, not creating it." The Dracon official smiled. "Of course, Master Trill, I meant no disrespect. But you must admit, the combination of your techniques with human physiology creates something very effective. Very effective indeed." After the observers left, Trill sat down heavily. Kor brought him water, but Trill did not drink. He simply stared at the training floor where Day had performed. "What have I done?" Trill whispered. "I have taught predators how to hunt more effectively." Bora knelt beside him. "Master Trill, we are not predators. We are your students. We learned flow combat to understand your culture, not to use it for war. But others will see it differently, Trill said. That military official, he already sees the weapon's potential. Soon others will too. I have tried to teach peace, but I may have planted seeds of war instead. Day stood nearby, still wearing his torn suit. He understood Trill's fear. He had been a soldier long enough to recognize when something changed from art to weapon, and he had just shown everyone exactly how dangerous that weapon could be. 6 months after the demonstration, General Quan sat in his office on Earth watching the video for the 10th time. Dee's malfunctioning suit, the explosive movements, the shock on everyone's faces. Quan had been a soldier for 40 years, and he knew a combat advantage when he saw one. He pressed a button on his desk. "Send in Commander Gina." A woman in military uniform entered and saluted. Gina had 20 years of Special Forces experience and had trained in 7 different martial arts. She was the perfect person for what Quan had in mind. "Commander, what do you see when you watch this video?" Quan asked. Gina studied the screen as Day's movements played again. "I see efficiency, sir. Every motion serves a purpose. No wasted energy. But with human speed and strength behind it, each motion becomes a weapon." "Exactly," Quan said. "I want you to start a program. Find Day, find Rena from the exchange group, and recruit 50 of our best soldiers. You're going to learn this flow combat, and then you're going to adapt it for human use." "Sir, won't the Vexian object?" "This was a cultural program, not a military one." Quan smiled. "We're not stealing anything. We're just exploring what we learned. If they wanted to keep it secret, they shouldn't have taught us." The program began in a classified facility in South Korea. Day and Rena agreed to teach, though Day felt uncomfortable about it. They started with the basic flow combat principles, but without the weighted suits. The soldiers learned fast, their military training making them disciplined students. Gina noticed something interesting after the first week. Flow combat was designed for beings who move slowly and gently, but when humans moved at natural speed, the techniques changed completely. A soft push became a devastating strike. A gentle redirection became a joint-breaking throw. The art was transforming in their hands. "We need to stop thinking of this as flow combat," Gina told her team. "This is something new. Something human," Rena agreed. "Flow combat is about water, flowing around obstacles. But humans are different. We don't flow around problems. We crash through them. Like a storm," one soldier suggested. Gina nodded. "Yes, stormflow. That's what we'll call it." Stormflow kept the efficient movements and principles of flow combat, but added human aggression and power. The soldiers learned to strike faster than most species could see, to use Earth's gravity to add weight to their blows, and to redirect attacks with bone-breaking force. What took 30 seconds in flow combat took 3 seconds in stormflow. What was gentle became violent. Day watched the transformation with mixed feelings. He had loved the beauty and philosophy of flow combat. Stormflow was effective, but it felt brutal in comparison, yet he could not deny that it worked. The soldiers became incredibly dangerous in a very short time. Meanwhile, on Harmony 7, Trill learned about the military program through news reports. He was teaching a regular class when Kor rushed in, carrying a tablet. "Master, you need to see this. Earth has started a military training program. They're teaching modified flow combat to soldiers." Trill watched the video of Gina's team demonstrating stormflow. His hands shook. The movements were familiar but twisted. It was like seeing a reflection in a broken mirror. The soul of flow combat was there, but the body had become monstrous. "They have betrayed us," Trill said quietly. "We offered them peace and they made weapons." Bora arrived on Harmony 7 the next day, trying to do damage control. She found Trill in his private quarters, refusing to teach his remaining students. "Master Trill, please understand. The military program was not my decision. Many humans disagreed with it. But you did not stop it," Trill said. "Your people took what I taught and made it into something violent. This is why the Coalition fears humans. You cannot leave things as they are. You must change them, improve them, weaponize them." "That's not fair," Bora argued. "We learned from you honestly. What we do with that knowledge is our choice. And that is exactly the problem," Trill said. "You see knowledge as something to use, not something to respect. Flow combat is 5,000 years old. It has been passed down unchanged because we honor its purpose. But humans cannot honor anything. You only see opportunities." Before Bora could respond, alarms sounded throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed red. An announcement played over the speakers. "Pirate attack on Coalition Transport Vessel 447. All security teams respond. Gina's team happened to be on the station, giving a demonstration to coalition military observers. When the alarm sounded, they immediately headed for the docking bay. The Dracon military official who had watched Day's demonstration, an officer named Velk, ran with them. The transport has 40 civilians and minimal security, Velk explained. Pirates usually have 20 to 30 fighters. We need to launch a rescue ship now. We're ready, Gina said. Her team of 12 soldiers boarded a fast shuttle and launched toward the transport. The journey took 8 minutes. The transport's hull showed damage from weapons fire, and a pirate ship was attached to its side like a parasite. Gina's team breached the transport through an emergency airlock. Inside, they found chaos. Pirates were herding civilians toward their ship, preparing to take hostages. The pirates were Krell, a species known for their thick armor-like skin and multiple arms. Normally, Krell pirates were difficult to fight because their bodies could take significant damage, but they had never fought humans trained in Stormflow. Gina moved first. She approached the nearest pirate at a sprint, too fast for him to properly react. She used a flow combat redirection technique, but at human speed. Her hand struck the pirate's wrist, forcing his weapon up and away. Before he could recover, she delivered a palm strike to his chest. The impact sounded like a drum. The pirate flew backward and did not get up. The other pirates turned to fight, but they were too slow. Gina's team moved through them like a storm, exactly as their art was named. Every motion was precise and efficient, just as Trill had taught. But the speed and power made each technique devastating. Pirates fell one after another, their tough skin no protection against techniques designed to redirect their own force back at them. The entire fight lasted less than 3 minutes. 40 pirates were unconscious or too injured to fight. Gina's team had no serious injuries. The civilians were safe. Station security arrived to find the battle already over. The whole fight had been recorded by the ship's security cameras. Velk watched the footage and immediately sent it to the Coalition Council. By the end of the day, every species in the Coalition had seen it. Reactions varied wildly. Some species praised the humans for their heroic rescue. Others feared the casual efficiency with which humans had defeated a notorious pirate crew. Some wanted to hire human trainers immediately. Others wanted humans restricted from teaching any combat techniques. Trill watched the footage in his quarters. He watched Gina move, saw the flow combat principles in her techniques, and recognized his own teachings in every strike. But he also saw something he had not expected. He saw his students protecting the weak and stopping violence. They had made flow combat into a weapon, yes, but they had used that weapon to save lives. Kor sat beside him. Master, the humans did a good thing today. They did, Trill admitted. But at what cost? Now every species will want to learn Stormflow. Now the galaxy will see combat as the answer. An arms race is beginning, Kor, and I helped start it. Outside Trill's window, the station continued its normal operations. But nothing was normal anymore. The galaxy had seen what humans could do, and everything was about to change. 1 year had passed since Trill first taught flow combat to humans. The galaxy looked very different now. 12 coalition species had requested human instructors to teach Stormflow to their security forces. 8 had hired human trainers. 4 refused to allow humans to teach anything on their worlds. The Vexene were among those who refused. Bora worked 18-hour days as humanity's cultural representative, answering questions and defending the training programs. Every day brought new challenges. Every day someone accused humans of weaponizing culture or militarizing peace. She sat in her office on Harmony 7, reviewing the latest complaints. The Methrin claimed humans were creating a warrior culture. The Solari argued that Stormflow gave humans unfair military advantage. The Krell, still angry about their pirates' defeat, demanded humans stop teaching combat to anyone. A message appeared on her screen. It was from Hyun, the physicist from the original exchange program. He had stayed on Earth to study human adaptation of alien knowledge. His message made Bora's headache worse. Bora, I need to share my latest research with you. It's important and it might cause problems. Call me when you can. She called immediately. Hyun appeared on her screen, looking tired but excited. I've been studying how humans modify alien technology and techniques, Hyun explained, and I found something interesting. Humans are uniquely good at taking existing systems and improving them. We see potential that the original creators don't see. I could have told you that without research, Bora said. It's causing me huge problems. But here's the important part, Hyun continued. This ability makes humans valuable. Other species create amazing things, but they rarely change them. They perfect one approach and stick with it forever. Humans constantly evolve and adapt. That's our real strength. How does this help me? Bora asked. Species are afraid of us because we change everything. Tell them that change isn't bad, Hyun said. Tell them that we can help them solve problems they've been stuck on for centuries. We're not destroyers of culture. We're catalysts for evolution. Bora considered this. You might be right, but convincing them won't be easy. She never got the chance to try. That evening, attacks hit 3 different worlds simultaneously. Human instructors were targeted by a radical group calling themselves the Purity Front. They claimed humans were corrupting galactic culture and had to be stopped. 5 humans died. 2 were instructors teaching Stormflow to Coalition security. 3 were cultural workers who had nothing to do with combat training. The attacks were coordinated and brutal. The Purity Front left messages at each site. Keep your violence to yourself, humans. The galaxy does not want your poison. Day heard about the attacks while teaching a class on Earth. One of the dead instructors had been his friend from the original exchange program. He dismissed his students early and sat alone in the training room, thinking about Trill's warning. The master had been right. Teaching flow combat had led to consequences no one had foreseen. Rena found him there an hour later. I heard about the attacks. Are you okay? No, Day said honestly. We did this, Rena. We took something beautiful and made it dangerous. Now people are dying because of it. People were dying before, Rena pointed out. Remember the pirate attack? We saved 40 civilians. Stormflow has protected more people than it's hurt. Tell that to our 5 dead friends. Rena sat beside him. I know you're angry. I am too. But stopping the program won't bring them back. It won't make the Purity Front stop hating us. If anything, it will make them think they won. Day knew she was right, but the guilt remained. He had been so excited to learn flow combat, so proud when he mastered it. He had never thought about where it would lead. On Harmony 7, Trill received news of the attacks with horror. 5 humans dead because they had taught what he had taught them. He had been angry at humans for weaponizing his art, but he had never wanted violence against them. This was not justice. This was murder. Kor found him standing at a window watching ships come and go from the station. Master, the Coalition is calling an emergency session. They want to discuss human integration and cultural programs. What is there to discuss? Trill asked. The Purity Front has made their position clear. They want humans isolated. You don't believe that, do you? That humans should be isolated? Trill was quiet for a long time. I was angry that humans changed flow combat. But I never wanted this. Those 5 humans were innocent. They were doing what their culture taught them to do, just as I do what my culture taught me. Then you should speak at the session, Kor urged. Tell the Coalition that this violence is wrong. Tell them that humans deserve a chance. Why would they listen to me? I am the one who started this. I taught humans flow combat. I created the problem. No, Kor said firmly. The Purity Front created the problem when they chose violence over understanding. You taught humans an art. What they did with it was their choice, but how we react to that choice is ours. Bora called Trill that same day, asking him to attend the Coalition session. Master Trill, I know you're angry with us, but please help me explain to the Coalition that cultural exchange is still valuable. Coming from you, it would mean everything. Trill almost refused. But then he thought about Day, struggling in that first week of training, determined to learn, despite the pain. He thought about Bora, always trying to bridge differences between species. He thought about all his human students who had shown him respect and dedication. I will speak, Trill said. But I speak the truth, not just what you want to hear. I wouldn't want anything else, Bora replied. The Coalition session was scheduled for 3 days later on Harmony 7. Representatives from 40 species would attend. The session would determine the future of human cultural integration. Quan sent Gina to represent Earth's military interests. Hyun came to present his research. Rena attended as a stormflow instructor. Day came because Bora asked him to. The night before the session, Trill found Day in the station's observation deck, watching stars through the massive windows. "I am sorry about your friends," Trill said. "Their deaths were not just. The Purity Front is wrong." "Thank you," Day said. "But you were also right. We did weaponize your art. Maybe we shouldn't have been taught." Trill shook his head. "I have been thinking about this for many months. I was wrong to blame you. Every species sees the universe through their own eyes. Vaccines see peace because our world is peaceful. Humans see combat because your world was dangerous. Neither view is wrong. They are just different. But different views cause conflict," Day said. "Look at what's happening. Species are taking sides. Some want to hire us, some want to ban us. The galaxy is dividing because of what we did." "The galaxy was always divided," Trill said. "Species have feared and misunderstood each other for thousands of years. Your people just brought those fears into the open, but maybe that is good. Maybe we need to face these fears instead of pretending they don't exist." They stood together in silence, watching the stars. Tomorrow would be difficult. Tomorrow they would face the coalition and try to explain why. Cultural exchange mattered, even when it was messy and complicated. Tomorrow they would learn if understanding could overcome fear. But tonight, a human and a Vexen stood side by side, sharing the view. And that, Trill thought, was worth fighting for. If two species so different could find common ground, then perhaps there was hope for all of them. Perhaps the unforeseen consequences of teaching humans flow combat would not be division, but unity. Time would tell. The coalition chamber was packed with representatives from 40 species. Some sat in chairs, some floated in special tanks. Some stood on platforms adjusted to their gravity needs. The room represented the incredible diversity of the galaxy, all gathered to discuss one question. What should the coalition do about humans? Bora stood at the central podium, her hands shaking slightly. This was the most important speech of her life. If she failed here, humans might be isolated from the coalition for generations. If she succeeded, maybe they could move forward together. "Honored representatives," she began, "I know many of you are afraid of humans. I know you've seen videos of Stormflow and thought we are too dangerous. Some of you lost friends in the pirate attack and blame us for creating violence. I cannot change your fears, but I can try to help you understand us." She pulled up images of Earth on the main screen. "This is our world. You see oceans and land, but look closer. Earth has extreme weather, dangerous animals, and limited resources. For thousands of years, humans fought to survive on this world. We fought nature. We fought each other. We built our entire civilization around overcoming challenges." A representative from the Methrin interrupted. "That is exactly why we fear you. You are a warrior species. You see everything as a battle." "Yes," Bora admitted. "We do, but let me ask you something. When pirates attacked that transport, who saved the civilians? When natural disasters hit colony worlds, which species sends the most aid workers? When the Dracon mining colony lost life support, who volunteered to repair it in dangerous conditions? Humans did. We face challenges, we fight problems, but we also protect and help." She changed the image to show human rescue workers, doctors, and engineers serving throughout coalition space. "We are warriors, yes, but we also know that some battles are worth fighting. Protecting the innocent is worth fighting for. Helping others survive is worth fighting for. These are good battles." Quan spoke next, his military bearing obvious even in the diverse crowd. "I run Earth's Stormflow program. I know many of you think it's a weapon program designed to give humans military advantage. You're partially right. Stormflow is effective in combat, but that's not its only purpose." He pulled up statistics. Since Stormflow training began, crime rates have dropped 40% on worlds where we teach. Pirate attacks have decreased by 60% in sectors with human security teams. Our students learn discipline, control, and when not to fight. These are the real lessons of Stormflow. A Dracon representative stood. "But you have given humans incredible combat ability. What stops you from using it against us?" "The same thing that stops you from using your natural advantages against us," Quan replied. "Honor, law, and mutual benefit. Humans benefit from the coalition. We have no reason to fight you, and many reasons to work with you. Stormflow doesn't change that. Hyun presented his research on human adaptation. He showed examples of how humans had improved alien technology, solved problems that other species had struggled with for centuries, and created new solutions by combining different approaches. Humans are not better than other species, Hyun explained. We're just different. We see possibilities where others see fixed systems. This makes us valuable partners. Yes, we changed flow combat into stormflow, but consider this. What other challenges could humans help you solve? What problems have you been stuck on that human perspective might unlock? Several representatives seemed interested in this idea, but others remained hostile. The debate continued for hours. Pro-human speakers argued that cultural exchange required accepting change. Anti-human speakers argued that some changes were too dangerous to accept. Then Trill stood to speak. The room fell silent. Everyone knew that Trill had started this situation by teaching humans flow combat. Whatever he said would carry significant weight. I am the master who taught flow combat to humans, Trill began. I was the first to see what they could do with it. I was angry and afraid when they created Stormflow. I thought they had betrayed my trust and corrupted my art. He paused, looking at the gathered representatives. I was wrong to think this way. Let me explain why. Flow combat is 5,000 years old. In all that time, my people never changed it. We perfected it for our bodies and our world, then kept it exactly the same. We thought this showed respect for tradition, but perhaps it showed fear of change. Trill walked to the center of the room, moving with his characteristic grace. Humans did not corrupt flow combat. They adapted it. They took principles designed for one type of body and applied them to a different type. The result was something new, something powerful, but something that still carries the heart of what I taught them. Is this corruption? Or is this evolution? He turned to face the Methrin representative who had spoken earlier. You say humans are a warrior species who see everything as a battle. This is true, but consider why. Humans come from a world that constantly challenged them. They had to fight to survive. This made them strong, yes, but it also made them persistent, adaptable, and creative. These qualities have value. Kor stood beside Trill. I have watched humans learn. They approach teaching differently than we do. They ask why constantly. They test boundaries. They try new approaches. This frustrated me at first, but I realized something important. Humans don't accept limits unless those limits make sense to them. This is not disrespect. This is intelligence, Rena spoke from the audience. I'm a Stormflow instructor. I've trained security teams from 6 different species. Every species learns it differently because every species has different needs. We don't teach one single method. We teach principles and let students adapt them. That's what humans do naturally. We adapt. The debate shifted. Instead of arguing about whether humans were dangerous, representatives began discussing how human adaptability could benefit the coalition. The Methrin asked if humans could help redesign their outdated defense systems. The Solari wanted human engineers to look at their energy problems. Even the Krell, still bitter about the pirate defeat, admitted that human security consultants might be useful. Bora returned to the podium for her closing statement. We're asking the coalition to accept us as we are. Yes, we change things. Yes, we see the world through a combat lens. Yes, we made flow combat into something its creator never intended. But we also save lives, solve problems, and push boundaries. That's what humans do. We're not asking for special treatment. We're asking for the same chance every other species has. The chance to contribute to the coalition in our own unique way. The coalition voted that evening. The decision was close, but it passed. Human cultural exchange programs would continue, with new rules and oversight. Humans would teach original arts before showing adaptations. Military applications would require approval from the originating species. A joint council would oversee all programs. Most importantly, humans would also teach their own arts. Rena began teaching Taiken to interested aliens. Day started a program teaching human problem-solving methods. Gina opened Stormflow training to anyone who wanted to learn, not just military personnel. 2 years later, something unexpected happened. A Vexine master named Sola developed a new martial art. She called it Earthflow, and it combined Vexen grace with human power. She taught it to both species and students loved it. Other species began creating their own fusion styles, combining techniques from multiple cultures. Trill watched this development with wonder. "This is what I feared," he told Core. "Change. Evolution. The loss of pure traditions." "But Master," Core said, "look at what we gained. Species are working together, learning from each other, creating new things. Isn't that better than everyone staying separate and unchanged?" Trill smiled. "Perhaps humans taught me more than I taught them. They taught me that change is not corruption. It is growth." Day and Bora visited Harmony 7 to see Trill's students practicing Earthflow. They watched humans and Vexen training side by side, each learning from the other's strengths. It was beautiful in a way that pure flow combat had never been. "We did cause unforeseen consequences," Day said to Bora, "but maybe not the bad kind." "We challenged the galaxy to evolve," Bora agreed. "We refused to accept that things had to stay the same just because they had always been that way. That's the human gift. We see potential for change everywhere." Trill joined them, moving slower now but still graceful. "I have been thinking about consequences. When I taught you flow combat, I expected you to learn it and nothing more. But you did not do what I expected. You did what humans do. You made it better, at least for humans. You showed the galaxy that better is possible." They stood together watching the next generation train in arts that combined the best of many cultures. The galaxy was changing, growing, evolving, and humans had been the catalyst. Not through conquest or force, but through their simple refusal to accept limits. They had taken an ancient art meant for peace and made it into a weapon. But then they had used that weapon to protect others. They had sparked fear and division, but ultimately created greater unity. The unforeseen consequences of teaching alien martial arts to humans were not destruction, as Trill had feared. They were transformation, and in the end, transformation was exactly what the galaxy had needed.